So you are a homeowner and you're looking to rent out your home, or maybe you're an existing landlord and your tenants are moving out and you need to relist the home. So what I'm going to talk about is how to determine the rental rate. This is obviously a very important factor. It's something that needs to be done at the beginning of the process because you need to know how much to advertise the home for. This is what's going to attract people to your property and get them in the door so you can find a well-qualified tenant. When I'm talking to homeowners or landlords, I always ask them, what are you expecting for rent? Have you done any research on your own? And then I ask them how they got to those numbers. A lot of times what I hear are they talk to neighbors, or they looked on some online home search sites. Some of those sites will offer their estimates on what you can get for rent just by punching in the address. Also, they look at what is out there right now. What active listings do they see in their neighborhood? And they go off of that number. Those are all good. But really, the way to do it is with a comparative market analysis. So if you ask any real estate agent, that's what they're going to tell you the process is when determining the rental rate. What this does is you select an area, a specific neighborhood, a 1 mile radius around an address, and you take a look at closed transactions within X amount of days, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. You go back as far as you need to. Obviously, you want to stay within a certain window. If you're looking back 5 years, it's not going to do you much good for now. The reason I say closed transactions is because you can ask $3,000 for a rental, but if it only rented for $1,800, that's the number you need to be focusing on because that's what the market generated for that home. So that's why it's important to keep in mind what's out there and what's active now because that is your competition. But the most important number in determining your rental rate is the closed number, the number that it actually rented for. So that's what we help you with determining when you're going through this process. Some things to keep in mind when coming up with that rental rate. Obviously, the time of the year is important. If it's in January, which we just hit the new year, so that's where we are, you may need to be a little more aggressive. There's not quite as much activity in the winter. People just don't move as frequently. That's the height of the market is typically summer, late spring into early fall. So depending on when it's going on the market, that's something you need to keep in mind. If you already have your home on the market and you're not getting much interest, people aren't calling, people aren't coming by, that's usually indicative of the price. If the listing is out there and visible, then the reason people aren't coming by, they can see the house and the price, and usually it's going to be a price that is the main factor. Conversely, if you're getting a ton of people coming through and everyone that comes through is ready to submit an application, that's a great problem to have, but what you may have done is underpriced it. That doesn't usually happen as often. People tend to overvalue their home. Obviously, it's good to have pride in your home, but everyone tends to think that theirs is the best home on the market. If it's a townhouse, they're pretty similar throughout the neighborhood. Obviously, you could have had some upgrades done, taken down a wall and made it a little more open concept. But for the most part, those townhouses are going to fall in a pretty similar range. So, if you're $500 over or under what else is rented in the neighborhood, then, your pricing is off and you want to make sure that's adjusted. So if you need help in this process or you want a professional opinion on what you can get for your home, click on our blue Get a Free Quote button and I will give you a call.